Good evening, folks. Thanks for joining us tonight on the Will and Dave Show. We're going to break things up a little bit tonight and do it a little differently than normal because I got something that's weighing on my heart that I'm gonna lay on everybody who's listening, all one of you. But for those of you who are listening to the recording, you can feel special too. So bear with me here as I lead into this. So I was rewatching and re-listening to the soundtrack from a movie that I watched as a kid called The Prince of Egypt by DreamWorks. It's an animated movie about the story of Moses and the Ten Commandments and that whole shtick from the Bible. And I don't watch it because I'm religious anymore, but it's just it's a little piece of nostalgia, a piece of my childhood that I really loved and appreciated. And in listening to the soundtrack, I was listening to a particular song, Through Heaven's Eyes. Really fantastic song. And while listening to it, I was struck by this sense that, like, if you took the religion out of the song, because this is a song about how we don't see ourselves in the big picture. We only see a little picture, and we need to see ourselves through heaven's eyes. We need to see the bigger picture that God has planned for us. But all the little things that this song touches on, the idea of forgiving yourself, the idea of starting new, the idea of loving others as you would love yourself, if not more, compassion, charity, forgiveness, all these things. If you took the religion out of it, it's still an amazing song. Like every concept that the song touches on is still a golden nugget of goodness that I think everyone could do with listening to and embracing. It just happens to be religious. The religion is neither a positive nor a negative. It's just the medium upon which the song is riding. And that got me thinking, because me, with my complex relationship with religion, most of the time when something is attached to religion in any form, I will immediately withdraw from it to a certain degree, or bristle up at it, just because of its affiliation. And that's not, like, I listen to a song like this, that's not fair to a song like this. This song has such a wonderful message, or messages, that for me to discount it just because it's attached to religion is doing it a disservice. And the fact that something that is grounded in religion can still be such a wonderful thing, a wonderful piece of art, a wonderful medium for learning and growth for anyone who listens to it. And so that I went down this sort of mental and emotional rabbit hole thinking about this, how often I discount things just because at a surface level I don't mesh with them. How often in talking to people about, to use topical conversations, talking about COVID or politics in general, how often do I just kind of, just in the back of my mind, subconsciously, just kind of shut them out as soon as I find out that they don't agree with what I agree with? How much of it is just whatever? And then taking that a step further, how do I talk about those people? Not even verbally, but how do I talk about them in my inner monologue? When I look at somebody who doesn't believe in vaccinations, is my inner monologue changing how I think about them? If there's somebody who, well, not to say doesn't believe in vaccinations, but somebody who's like really into the conspiracy theories about COVID, let's say someone thinks that it's all a government hoax. COVID is just some big hoax. And how much of me in the back of my head is just writing them off because of that? And that's not fair to them. It's not. In the same sense that them writing me off because I got a vaccine for COVID, them writing me off as a sheeple is not fair to me. The concept of people being perfectly good and perfectly right and perfectly wrong, it just doesn't really apply. It doesn't fit the way I think that media portrays it, especially social media, with how everything is so polarizing. It seems really easy to pick a good guy and a bad guy, and it's just not like that. There's so many shades of gray in between. There's so much wiggle room, and if we recognize all that grayness, all that in-betweenness, and all that connective tissue between us, it gets a lot easier to talk to people who disagree with you. And it makes it easier to find common ground. And I feel like that's something that this show, that's part and parcel to why we made this show in the first place, is because for me and Dave, we talk about these things because we know there's a connective tissue between us. We're blood. There's a connective tissue that holds us together, despite the fact that some of our ideas may drive us apart, ideologically speaking. And that's not such a far-reaching concept for people who aren't blood related. I don't think. I think that it's just outside, like just on the cusp of how we think and how we feel and how we interact with people who disagree with us. And I feel like if we could all just be a little bit more compassionate towards people who disagree with us, not just outwardly, but internally, on how our internal monologue and our own little how we think about them, the things that we think about people that they can't hear, nobody can hear, and how much of that sticks, how much of that seeps its way into how that we then talk about them and tell stories about them. That just resonated with me. That stuck with me. That's been sitting on me all week. And because I'm happy and privileged and get to have this medium to share it with. Now you're all stuck with it too. So there. um, Segueing off of that, quick little content advisory for our show. We might talk about heavy things tonight. We're going to be talking about COVID and some changes in politics, but nothing directly or expressly harsh. And we just want you to be aware of that as we get into the meat and potatoes of the show.
Welcome to the Will and Dave Show.
It's me again, Margaret.
Welcome to the Will and Dave Show.
I had to restart that. It was too quiet. I threw in our chat window. Hey, Mallory's next, but you didn't see your chat window, obviously.
Whoops. I did not. My apologies.
I'll forgive you tomorrow.
Well, we are going to do that, though. We need to pay the bills, so to speak. Thank our sponsors for sponsoring the show.
But mainly, we get to do it again because I just wanted to play Allison singing again.
I'm never going to complain.
So I had a few things I wanted to ask you about your compassion rant, and I'm going to do it now, then we'll do the sponsors.
Absolutely.
As I want to hear more of your inner monologues.
Oh, man.
You mentioned that maybe my inner monologues, I need to be careful about what I say in my inner monologues.
Yeah.
I want to hear them.
Well, like, you remember that silly little nursery rhyme that we were taught in Sunday school? Be careful, little eyes, what you see.
Yes.
Be careful. Yeah. Be careful, little mind, what you think.
Yes.
Yeah. No, my inner monologue is way harsher than anything that comes out of my mouth. Like way more critical. Like all the incendiary reactions that I might at times want to let fly on the show. I don't. They just replay on a tape in my head. But that still is. That still works its way. That's still.
So Kyle, if you want us to do a rant on rich people, it's going to have to be a rant from Will one week and me the next, because it'll be completely different.
Eat the rich.
Oh my
Eat
God.
them.
So let's go and pay the bills for a moment.
Yeah.
The sponsor for this episode is Northern Truss, your one-stop shop for floor systems and for all your truss needs. Phone the team at Northern Truss at 250-787-3033. Locally owned and operated in Fort St. John, BC.
Hey there, and thanks for tuning into the Will and Dave Show. I'm Susan, and I don't know about you, but I think that in the whole world there's nothing as warm and comforting as a handmade quilt. And quilters the world over have wonderful stories to tell. So to showcase their stories, I host a podcast. It's called Measure Twice, Cut Once, and Other Life Lessons Learned from Quilters. You can tune in to the podcast anywhere that podcast apps are, whatever your favorite is, or you can find a direct link on my website, stitchedbysusan.com. And now, back to the show.
Can't comment to them.
And we're back. William,
also would. Yes.
if you want to share with our fine folks how they can sponsor us.
Yeah. If you want to support the show in a small way, you can go to www.buymeacoffee.com/WillAndDaveShow. And for the price of a cup of coffee, you can help support the show as we try to grow and expand it.
Well, in America, it's a cup of coffee. In Canada, it probably will buy you a new pickup with the exchange rate. But hey, who's counting?
A cup of Tim's.
Yeah. Well, no, because our $5 here are like 896,000 in Canadian dollars.
Yeah, so thanks for rubbing it in.
Yeah. So if you want to buy us a coffee,
hey, at least my gas doesn't cost like $7 a gallon or something like that.
Yeah, it does.
Is it $7 a gallon right now?
Well,
it's like
not
$1.25 a liter.
Well, that's not too bad. I thought
$1.28 when I filled up last.
I thought it was more than that.
I mean, it jumps around a lot depending on the day. I mean, like a long weekend, it's going to go up to like $1.38.
We're at $3.40 a gallon here, and it hurts.
That does sound like it stings. Just the fact that it's like $3.40, even though it's a gallon, just the fact that it's $3.40 just makes it seem to sting a little more. When I say it's $1.38 a liter, that doesn't sound quite so bad.
That's right. Even though it takes like 100 liters to fill your car, and I fill mine for 16 gallons. Yeah. So yes. So the other one I wanted to ask you about is, as you mentioned, you have to be careful that you don't tune out those who you don't agree with. And I'm thinking, we're on the show. Maybe that explains the blank look I get every now and then on the show. Just tune out that old schmuck.
I don't do it on the show, but when it comes to reading articles or watching YouTube videos or the news, it's really easy sometimes to just, as soon as somebody says something that I don't like, I'm just like, well, they're obviously dumb, and just and then it's like, yeah, I'm hearing or reading it, but it's like remember the parents from Peanuts comics, like the Snoopy comics?
No, I don't remember the parents.
It's just it doesn't stick, and that's not fair to the people who write the articles or make the videos or people that I converse with. It's not fair to them if I'm discounting their discussion
So what
points out of hand.
you're saying is that you should pay more attention to Tucker Carlson.
I'm saying
I've been planning that ever since I heard you say that. You realize that?
I'm saying I should be a little bit more compassionate towards Tucker Carlson,
Okay.
and give him more time to prove that he's an idiot.
So Joe
He's not off the
Rogan.
hook that easy.
I think we talked about the Joe Rogan episode last week. I believe
We touched
didn't
on
we?
it, yeah. We touched on it a little bit.
Yeah. So this week, I guess, and I haven't seen the episode because I haven't watched a lot of his current episodes, but I guess he called Don Rubin, not Don Rubin, Don
Dave
Lemon
Oh, Don
on
Lemon.
CNN, an effing idiot, and
Oh yeah.
yeah. So there's a little bit of drama between Joe Rogan and CNN.
Oh yeah.
And Joe Rogan has more viewers in an episode than CNN has in a month. And you sort of think there's more of a budget at CNN because it's CNN, but Joe Rogan has more viewers, more people following him, and he probably has more of a balanced output than CNN does, I would think.
Yeah, I haven't watched that entire episode yet. I've only seen some longer highlight reels from it. I should.
You should.
It's interesting. It's interesting to hear Don Lemon, I don't want to say defend the actions of his employer, because he doesn't.
So was it Lemon?
It was CNN.
So was it
as a
no. So on the Rogan show, it was Gupta.
Oh,
and
right,
he went after he was on the Rogan show. He went back to CNN, and CNN made interview with Don Lemon, and Don Lemon, and he got him to admit again that he took horse dewormer, even after Joe Rogan had him agree that what he took was not horse dewormer. It was actually ivermectin as a human drug that was prescribed by a doctor. And Gupta went over to CNN the next week. It was like a few days after the interview with Rogan aired. And Don Lemon got him to say it again. And that was when Joe Rogan said about Don Lemon, he's an effing idiot, because he still doesn't.
The context is
like he won't concede the fact that he didn't use horse dewormer. It's ivermectin, but he didn't use horse dewormer. And he would not concede that with Don Lemon.
Yeah.
He did on his show, but he turned around and went on Don Lemon's show, said, yeah, he used horse dewormer. And he didn't say those exact words. He agreed with Don Lemon. And Don Lemon knows that he didn't take horse dewormer.
And see, I sit in the middle, and I think that both sides are stupid. Because on one hand, ivermectin is an anti-parasitic. I think that's the fair way of classifying it. It's an anti-parasitic medication. That is its primary function. It is largely used as a horse dewormer, but that doesn't mean that it is a horse dewormer. But it's an anti-parasitic medication. To be taking that for COVID when there isn't really much to say that it works is kind of silly. So for Joe Rogan to be pedantic about it is kind of silly. But
So you work with people who took it?
No.
Yes.
Do I?
Yes.
That'd be news to me.
The guy in the front office took it.
Really?
That should not surprise you.
That
That should not surprise you. Don't yell on the mic, but that should not
Sorry.
surprise you. If you're going to yell, lean back.
Yeah. It doesn't. Okay, it is news to me, but also doesn't super surprise me. But it is news to me. I didn't know this. Oh,
I didn't
the
tell you
juicy
this.
drama. Sorry.
Well, the issue with the whole thing, though, Kyle, is that they are the same drug, and that's why you can use the veterinary version for human consumption, because it is the same thing. It just is. It's the amount you take. It is.
No. Ivermectin is the same, but the other inactive ingredients that may be involved in a veterinary dose are different. There are different inactive ingredients in veterinary medication, so it's not the same. The ivermectin is the same, but everything that it is also packaged with is not the same.
So maybe
that's part of the reason for the warning against people taking veterinary grade ivermectin.
So maybe if you take the veterinary grade, maybe in a few weeks you won't have to wear underwear because you'll have a tail to hide your ass.
Who knows?
You never know.
But this is
it might be hair growth hormones.
Like, on one hand, Joe Rogan saying it's not a horse dewormer. I mean, predominantly it is. It is an anti-parasitic drug.
No, Will. It began as a human drug.
Yes, but I'm saying predominantly it is used as a veterinary drug. Yes, it is. It is used to treat people. That's true. It's absolutely true. Hear me out. I'm saying that Joe Rogan is being pedantic because they're calling it something that it is, but it's also other things.
They are saying he took a horse dewormer.
Yes.
He did not take a horse dewormer. He took a doctor-prescribed medicine.
Yes. That is largely used for making horse dewormer. That doesn't mean it is exclusively horse dewormer, but it is also large. Like, it's like me saying I took petrol. It's fuel for vehicles. It does other things besides fuel vehicles, but it is predominantly used for fueling vehicles. I mean, that's kind of a silly comparison, but you get the point. Like,
you need to come back with another analogy because that one sucked.
Calling it horse dewormer isn't incorrect. It's just
it's incorrect when they say he took
broad of a brush.
Horse dewormer, because he did not. They said he took horse dewormer. He did not.
He took a drug that is used as a...
Oh, God, Kyle. I'm not even going to put that one on the screen. I was thinking about putting something on the screen.
But I'll read it out for him. I'll read it out for the audience, though. It's like breathing air in two places. One of the places is filled with farts, but it's still technically air. I like that.
You would.
Yeah. Using...
Okay, how's this for analogy?
He took a drug that is largely used as a horse dewormer. That is its most common use.
Wrong.
I would need to see statistics because I don't see it being prescribed to people that often.
I'm going to look it up. You talk, I'm looking it up because you're the man on the rant.
Yeah, it's... I understand that what CNN said was incorrect-ish. Like, it's... I'm trying to think of a good analogy here, but I'm trying to find it hard to find one. What they're saying was intellectually dishonest, or not even dishonest. What's the word I'm looking for?
You're going to have a hard time defending CNN in this one.
I'm not this is the thing, though. I'm not defending CNN. I'm also not defending Joe Rogan. I'm saying that they're both being assholes, and I think it's a non-argument. Joe Rogan took a drug that has almost, not entirely, but almost no evidence to say that it works on COVID, that is used as a horse dewormer. So to say that he took something that is used as horse dewormer is not incorrect. To say that he took horse dewormer is incorrect, but it's such a thin line between being correct and incorrect. At the same time, CNN has literal teams of people that are paid to research these things. They know better than to make that conflation. So I'm not saying that CNN isn't in the wrong. They're in the wrong. I'm also saying that
That
Joe
Joe
Rogan's
Rogan's in
being
the wrong?
pedantic.
No.
He's being pedantic. He
What did you
he
have for
took a
supper
drug.
tonight?
What did I haven't had supper yet.
Oh,
So I
okay.
got here to do the podcast right after work.
What are you making for supper?
Stew,
What's in the stew?
venison,
What else?
mushrooms, potatoes, carrots, onions,
Okay.
beef stock.
You're going to have dog food for supper.
Yeah, technically.
And if I came to you and said, "Oh, Will, you're eating dog food,"
Mm-hmm.
is it technically correct?
Yeah,
Are you eating dog food?
technically.
No, you're not. You're eating stew.
I get where you're going with this.
Okay, well, it's the same thing. You're not eating dog food. It's the same ingredient,
Mm-hmm.
the venison and the potatoes and that sort of thing, because all those ingredients are used in dog food. It's the same ingredients, and you're going to say, only because you're being a jerk, yeah, I'm eating dog food. Except you know that if I walk in your house and said, "Oh, you're eating dog food?" I don't want any of that. It's dog food. And you're like, "No, it's stew, and it's really good because I seasoned it and I did all sorts of cool things with it." I'm like, "No, it has the same ingredients as dog food. I'm not eating it." And you're like, "No, it's stew."
Yeah.
It's the same thing when I walk up to you and say, "Oh, you took a horse dewormer." And I'm like, "No, I took ivermectin that I got from a doctor."
Yes.
And you're like,
But
"No, you're being a jerk for saying you got ivermectin from a doctor." No. There's no jerkishness. So
no,
you can argue
I'm
if
not
he
saying he's
should
being a
have
jerk.
gotten
I'm
it.
saying he's being pedantic.
No, he's not, because he's not eating dog food.
Admittedly, it's easy clicks for Joe Rogan.
Well,
It's
it is
easy
that.
clicks. Easy clicks for him.
Anybody who
I
calls
can't
on
even
CNN.
fault him. Yeah, I can't even fault him for saying what he's saying in that sense, at least.
But
I don't even know if I fault him in general.
you
It's
have
just
to give
more-
him credit.
I
When
don't,
they
though.
said he was using horse dewormer, it was a lie. Because you're not making dog food. He's not taking
See,
horse dewormer. Come on.
I'm trying to think.
He got a medicine from a doctor
You know what?
with a prescription.
I will concede that it is intellectually dishonest of CNN to say that he took a horse dewormer.
And for him
But
to
I
call
feel-
them out,
I feel
on
no
it.
sympathy for Joe Rogan, though, because he claims that studies support ivermectin as a COVID drug. And I think that is equally as intellectually dishonest.
actually, I don't think he has. He's had folks on the
He-
show who have. I don't think he has.
I could find you a clip for next week. He has said that there
Okay.
are studies that show that it works. That's
Well,
that's
that
why
may
there was
be
originally
true.
the hullabaloo before he took it. It was because he propagated the concept of it being a potential treatment for COVID.
Well, I
have limited
well, there
sympathy
are
for it.
people who say that. So I mean, it's not a
There
lie
are.
to say that there are studies that say it works. So don't.
It's true.
So-
but it's the general intellectual dishonesty going on between both parties that I just don't like. I'm not saying that Joe Rogan is in the wrong or that CNN is not in the wrong. I'm saying that I think they're both.
So let me ask
both
you a
schmucks.
question.
Mhm.
If I say something true and you don't like it, does that mean it's intellectually dishonest?
No.
Okay. So nothing he said about anything with ivermectin is not true. At least I don't think. So how can you say it's intellectually dishonest? There have been studies. He agrees with them.
I could be wrong.
Okay.
From my knowledge,
Yes.
the study that Rogan referenced,
Right.
there's a singular study, and
Okay.
what he was referencing from that study was a cherry-picked paragraph from the
So-
study. The study itself didn't actually show that ivermectin worked. There's a paragraph that suggests the possibility of it working, and the study found that it didn't.
So let me ask you a question.
Mhm.
So you don't like that fact?
I don't like the fact that someone with an audience as large as Joe Rogan states it as fact.
I don't think he has. I think you'd have to show me the clip. I know he's had people on who have,
Yeah.
but I don't think he has.
But
Here's the
Even-
thing about ivermectin that gets me going a little bit. I haven't taken ivermectin, obviously, because I don't have COVID,
Or worms.
or worms. If you can go to a doctor and say, hey, I have COVID, if you have COVID, obviously, would you give me ivermectin? And he said, I don't think it'll help. And I say to the doctor, is it going to hurt me? And he'll say, no, it won't hurt you. It may kill some worms in your system. Okay, I want ivermectin because I've heard it might help. Why wouldn't you? And that's exactly what Joe Rogan did.
Yes.
And we look at it and we say, ooh, you're misleading your followers. No, he went to his doctor and he said, hey, is it going to hurt me? His doctor said, no. Okay, give it to me. I think I've heard it might help.
But
he took a raft of other drugs as well.
Yeah, but this is what comes along with being a public figure like he has, is he has to understand that it's one thing for him to go do it. It's another thing for him to come on his show and say, hey, I did this and I feel better. And
is it better. Not true?
It is true, but for him to say it like that, he knows there is no way that someone as intelligent as Joe Rogan can make that statement and not know there are going to be people, a large chunk of people watching his show. They're going to be like, oh, hey, so it'll work for me, and just go do it. And they don't have the money to have a doctor monitor their vitals on a day-to-day basis. They don't have the money to do that. There are the people who are going to go buy it off a shelf
at the vet
when
store.
It's made for horses. So there's a certain level of responsibility. It's not that him taking ivermectin is exclusively wrong in just that. It's everything around it that makes it dishonest or at least shady from my point of view that I don't like.
Okay, I'm glad you added those two qualifiers at the end from your point of view and that you don't like, because I think that there's a raft of arguments that you could have there that say, if it doesn't hurt you, if it's not bad for you, and you think it might help, if nothing else, the placebo effect is very powerful. And so I don't know that we should just say, no, to heck with it and discount it. As I believe in the placebo effect, and I believe that if you want to take something like that and it's not harmful for you, and I don't think it is.
If you're getting it from a doctor, it's not, in theory. But if you're self-medicating with it, it absolutely could be. That is a risk. I mean, any self-medication.
Absolutely, any
like
self-medication
is risky.
I have a friend of mine the other day. He was hyper, so he popped a couple melatonin. We're like, why? You don't need to do that. That is, I mean, just calm down. No, I have to take a pill. No.
And this is where I feel like on massive public entities and personalities like Joe Rogan, there's a certain level of responsibility for him to take more care in what he promotes, because he has to know that there's going to be a chunk of his audience that are going to take that to the nth degree. I mean, obviously he can't insulate from every stupid person hearing his show and taking it to the nth degree, but I feel like there was a lot more he could have done.
Such as?
Not talk about it like that. Like, if he found one study, if Joe Rogan was reading one day and found one thing online that said, hey, ivermectin could work for COVID, maybe he should be a little more careful with what he brings up on the show. Like, we might say things like that, but A, we're not massive personalities, and B, almost every show we reiterate the fact that we're idiots and don't know diddly about diddly.
So what you're saying to me, if I understand you correctly, is that if you're rich and powerful and you have an audience, and you do something that works.
We don't know if the ivermectin worked.
No.
All we know is that he got better.
He got better in 4 days. He was back on the show. If you do something that works, he hit it with everything.
Everything except for a vaccine, yeah.
Yeah, except the vaccine. And he got better. You're saying that that's wrong if he says, here's what I did, and it worked. I'm back on the show in 4 days. You're saying that's wrong.
Him getting back on the show isn't what I'm referencing. I'm referencing
what he said.
Providing a megaphone to ivermectin specifically, outside of him getting better from COVID.
Whoa. Let me clarify. He came on the show and said, I did X, Y, Z, and I got better. I'm over it in 4 days. Now, I also will say with Rogan, and he's been, right from day one, he's been clear on this. You need to eat better. You need to exercise. You need vitamin D. He's been saying that since early in the pandemic. Like ivermectin and all that was
the pandemic. Yeah.
Yeah. Like he's huge on fitness as being the number one thing. You are saying, though, that if he gets on and says, hey, I took ivermectin, vitamin D, and vitamin C, and vitamin X, and I stood on my head for 8 hours a day, and I got better. And you're saying, ooh, you shouldn't mention the ivermectin.
No.
As you're going to lead people astray. You're going to lead people astray.
About him talking about all the things that he took and got better. I'm talking about the time before he got COVID that he brought up ivermectin as a potential treatment for COVID.
Well, I think it was with the folks on the show who were saying that it worked. With Weinstein and some of these other people, because when he brought that up.
I feel like there is so much more he could have done to A, fact check it or call it to question, and he just accepted it. I do put a certain level of responsibility on him to be better. He has the power, and with that comes the responsibility, I think.
So what you're saying is to be better, he should have gotten the vaccine?
No,
okay.
But been more careful with what he said. With what he propagated as a viable treatment and how he propagated it as viable treatment.
Oh, we could go round and round on this, and we probably should quit on the Joe Rogan stuff.
Probably should.
Not that I agree with Joe Rogan about everything, but in this case, I'm thinking he is so right, and you're thinking, he's right, but maybe not. I'm just not gonna. We're close enough to agreement on it. Why the heck am I arguing with you so much about it? It's not worth it.
It's content.
But I want to go to the statement by Kyle, because this was the root of the beginning of my statement at the beginning, is we know that CNN lied, flat out lied, and said he took horse dewormer when he did not. So regardless of all the other stuff, if you think he's right or not, this arguably is one of the most watched news sources in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And they lied.
Mm-hmm.
And we want to... And there is no pushback from anybody. Like, why are they still on Facebook? If Trump is not, because he lied and incited violence.
That's comparing apples to oranges.
Well, it's not, because it is a blatant mistruth. Blatant.
Yes.
And if they're going to lie about that, what else are they lying about?
First off, again, we're going to come back to this. It's not a lie. It is an exaggeration. Like you saying like you saying that my stew is dog food. It is technically true, which means it is not a lie, but it is intellectually dishonest.
No, it is not. The same ingredients are used in dog food. You are not serving dog food. He got a doctor prescribed medication.
That is also a horse dewormer.
But it's not a horse dewormer.
It's not a lie. It is intellectually dishonest, and I think that it is wrong for them to do it. But it is not a lie. I can't believe that I sound like I'm defending CNN because I can't
believe either, because they lied. They spoke an untruth flat out, and they knew it. They had researchers to prove that it was a lie, and they said it anyway, and they repeated it numerous times.
Again, I can't reiterate enough that I think that you're right, that CNN is in the wrong, except for the specifics of calling it a lie, because I don't think that it is expressly a lie. I think it is intellectually dishonest and an awful thing for them to do.
William Smith. Yeah? If I go to your house and you give me stew and it's really yummy, and I go to another friend's house and I say, you know what Will served me? He served me freaking dog food.
Yeah.
What a schmuck. He served me dog food.
Yeah.
It's wrong. It's a lie. You did not serve me dog food. And you cannot come and say, well, technically I did serve you dog food because the ingredients are the same.
I would be hurt and offended that you called my stew dog food. And then you could come to me and be like, well, everything that's in your stew, a dog would eat. And I'd be like, yeah, that's technically true, but you're still an asshole for calling my stew dog food.
No, I'm still a liar.
It's not a lie, though. Technically, it's not. I can't believe this is the hill I'm dying on.
It's arguments like this that make lawyers rich, because it's a lie.
I'm in the wrong line of work,
Oh
man.
my gosh. Okay, moving on from CNN. I can't believe that I argued with you long enough to defend CNN. Oh my gosh.
I will say
That's a
though,
new low for
I
you,
have
actually.
absolutely in concurrence with Kyle. News stations mislead people every day. Absolutely, that is their industry, misleading people, and that
And
applies to
this is
everyone.
one of the largest issues with it. Is people know they're lying, or some people know they're lying, but so many more, they believe what they say. And so they
Mhm.
go home and they say, hey, did you hear what Joe Rogan did? He used horse dewormer. And
Yeah,
Joe Rogan says, wait a minute, no, I didn't.
that's what Google's for.
But they don't know because all they say is ivermectin. And so if they Google it, 83 of the first 100 articles in Google are the same thing that CNN is saying is horse dewormer. Don't take it for COVID. They don't.
Yeah.
And it's so dishonest, and they have a platform and they're using it dishonestly. If you won't
I
let
would
me say
agree.
they're lying,
I
they're
would agree with
using
that
it.
statement 100%. They are absolutely using it dishonestly. I think that almost every mainstream news media outlet uses their platform dishonestly. And that was a stellar case of CNN doing it in spades, of them being incredibly dishonest and misleading.
On this we agree.
Yeah. It's just the technicality.
Oh
The
my
whole
gosh.
enchilada we agree on.
Ay, ay, ay. Is this one of those moments when you tune me out?
No, I'm loving this. This is great.
Or this is one of those moments after the show that your inner monologue is going to go crazy? I'm just happy that you got your inspiration for a rant from a movie about Moses.
I did. It's actually a really good movie. I mean, I could nitpick it, but it's a really enjoyable movie.
So I watched a movie this week.
What'd you watch? I love
I
movies.
I started watching a show on Hulu about the Outsiders, and it's about an Appalachian family up in the hills of Virginia or somewhere, and there are all these bunch of rednecks, and
Mhm.
it made me thankful for civilization. It really, really did. I mean, they have their wine still, or their whiskey, their
Mhm.
moonshine stills, and they have to cut it because it's so powerful that it will kill you if you drink it straight.
Oh, lovely.
And they're walking around. You can't see their face for all the facial hair, sort of like you, but not quite so much. And it just is one of those things. I'm so thankful for beard oils for you, for razors for me, for hairdressers that cut our hair. Well, for me, I do my own, but it's only because there's only 4 hairs up there.
Yeah.
But it really has made me thankful for civilization.
I. It's funny you mentioned that because just the other day I was reminiscing about old books that we read as kids, and I remember The Little House on the Prairie
Yep.
and hearing about the living conditions that Laura Ingalls Wilder grew up in. And I'm like, man, I'm glad I didn't have to go through that. I'm sure that built an unimaginable amount of character, but I'm okay without that character.
It's one of the things that worries a few of us actually about society.
Hmm.
Is if we ever lose our conveniences, if we lose our,
Mm.
the internet or the
Yeah.
grid or the electrical grid, we're going to be a hurting population.
Yeah.
And there actually is an episode in there, I think, if we talk about what would life look like if we lose electricity. That's a
Mm.
scary thought.
Yeah.
I mean, irregardless of all the people who don't have a gasoline engine in their car, even if you have a gasoline engine in your car and you need to get the gas out of the ground, eventually your
SOL.
generators are going to run out of gas too. You're screwed. Like it's a scary thought. And
Yeah. There's a
we,
reason, like, excuse me, EMP weaponry in movies is such a big thing.
yeah,
And it's such a push to develop that kind of weaponry in real life because whoever can do that controls the battlefield.
yes.
There's a literal and metaphorical arms race to control people's access to electricity.
Yes. Speaking of EMTs, have you seen the new Bond movie?
I haven't. I want to.
Okay.
I want to see it, and I want to see Dune. Dune comes out this weekend, I think.
I think so, yeah.
It's directed by one of my favorite directors and has a ton of actors that I love in it. So I want to see it really badly because I love Dune. Like the books are amazing.
So I'm a fan of Dune, although I like the original one and with Sting is in it.
Oh, I love that one too.
And that was such an awfully bad, horrible, but it was so good.
Great. I love bad movies like that. It's entertaining bad. And I love
Ranks
that.
up there with Army of Darkness for so bad it's good.
Oh, it's so cheesy it hurts.
Yes,
I enjoy the crap out of it.
Seeing Sting act, he should stick to a microphone and a stage and a bass. But, hey, we all have to try something. I'm trying a YouTube show, so.
Yeah. Branching out.
That's right.
I want to see Bond. I want to see that. I missed a movie in theaters that I really want to see. I want to see The Green Knight. That looks really good.
The Green Knight. Haven't seen that.
It's a modern retelling of the story of the Green Knight from like Arthurian legend.
So we went to the Bond movie the other day. Highly recommend it. Highly, highly recommend it.
Good.
I'm not going to give a review. I'm not going to give any spoilers other than this one thing.
Okay.
He has an EMP weapon.
Mm-hmm.
And he uses it. It's a short range one, so it'll disable like locks and things.
Yeah.
And then he pulls his phone out of his pocket and uses his phone.
Continuity errors, man.
I'm thinking
pulls you right out of the action, man.
I'm pretty sure that Samsung phone would not operate.
And the product placement worked well too, apparently.
Oh yeah, there was a Nokia phone. Actually, it wasn't Samsung; it was Nokia.
Oh, it's Nokia.
But yeah.
Well, that explains that Nokias are indestructible, so that explains it. No EMP could ever work on a Nokia phone.
So, William.
Yes, sir.
What are we going to do for our anniversary show? Because that is next weekend.
It is next weekend, and I don't actually quite know.
Well, I'm going to tell you that whatever you say now is what it's going to be because we have made zero plans.
Well, I actually just today
so what are you
got
thinking?
in contact. Well, I mean, as far as anniversary goes, I don't know what we're going to do outside of just talking about it a little bit, touching on where we began and where we're at now with the show and how it's evolved.
Yeah.
We just lined up as of today, actually. We just lined up another guest for the show, which we're really excited about. We have a gentleman who is a very prolific and talented user of firearms. He's going to come on and talk to us about gun control and gun registration in Canada and the States.
Is he related to us?
Yes, he is. He's my cousin.
Sweet.
Your nephew.
Sweet.
Yeah. So we're just working out the details on whether we're going to have him come into the show, like call into the show, or have him live in studio with me. We haven't decided yet.
Gotcha.
But we've got him in. It's just a matter of when now, whether it's next weekend. So I don't know if we're going to do that with the anniversary show, or maybe the anniversary show could be like a little side show attached to it. I'm not sure yet what we're going to do, but we're going to figure something out.
Yeah.
I would love to have some clips comparing now to then.
It's been a year.
Side by sides and see what we've done in a year.
Yeah. So that's next week is the anniversary show, and we're going to be getting, hopefully got some new information on the line about what we're going to be doing for some written work, because you don't like cameras. I love cameras, apparently. So I'm going to get my ugly mug on camera. You're going to write.
I'm going to write. That's the idea, yeah.
So they say that the pen is mightier than the camera, or the sword.
Sword, yeah.
Sword.
Pictures worth 1,000 words, so I'm going to really have to put out.
Yeah.
We're recording at 60 frames per second.
Well, I'll tell you what, for this shot here, it's worth at least 1,000 words.
There we go. I mean, I'm also we're going to be trying and engaging more on Twitter. So wish me luck. I know.
That's one step above TikTok.
Barely. TikTok's angry children. Twitter is angry adults. Sometimes.
So, yeah, I'm not even going to go there. It just has all kinds of bad endings. This whole idea of compassion, as you're saying, we have to find a way to have these discourses, these arguments, these differences of opinion reasonably.
Yeah.
in society as a whole.
Mhm.
In the whole, it's our foundation. Even though we might each be completely wrong with our, it doesn't matter if we can be completely wrong, do it civilly.
Mm-hmm. That's the big thing with some tact and some civility.
And we probably are completely wrong.
There's a very high like a high chance of it, but at least we're reasonably polite to one another.
I can't believe
We're both still smiling, so I think that's a good sign.
I can't believe you called Joe Rogan a liar.
No, not a liar.
No,
dishonest.
No, you wouldn't say that CNN was lying.
Yeah, I stand by that statement. They weren't lying. They're scumbags, but they weren't lying.
Lawyer. $500 an hour if you say that in a courtroom.
I wish.
Hey, you pull that kind of nonsense in a courtroom, they'll give it to you. You can split hairs.
I just go to school for a couple of years and accrue a couple.
You can be dishonest and tell untruths and get $500 an hour. You tell the truth and you get nothing.
What a time to be alive. Oy vey.
Oy vey. Well, William, we will see you and our viewers/listeners next week on Saturday.
On Saturday, yep.
Not Fridays.
Regular scheduled time.
Yeah. This week I have an event on Saturday night, so we just moved it up a day because, hey, we're flexible that way.
Yeah. We've got the power.
We do. We have the button to push that says go live. We can go live anytime we want.
Hell
so
yeah,
do you have anything to leave our fine viewers with?
I do. Stay safe and don't die.